this is so important. Like, it's worth every dollar that I've invested, and I would recommend it to any business owner that really wants to grow their business.
Hey everybody, it's Brandon Dawson. Welcome to another episode of the B. Dawson Show, where we talk and work with business owners, entrepreneurs, and key contributors to businesses that want to go from 1 million to 10 million, 10 million to 100 million, or 100 million to a billion. And today I'm sitting here with my friend Rochelle, right?
Yes.
I want to call her Rachel, but it's Rochelle. And Rochelle is working with us in our Financial Essentials program. So Rochelle, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone and let them know who you are and, more importantly, what you do.
Okay, so my name is Rochelle Mesquit. I'm a CPA going on 14 years in the tax practice now. I'm based out of Los Angeles, and I work with a firm currently where I'm taking over and wanting to grow their business from 4 million to, gosh, I don't know. We got to get to that next break
40
point,
million,
right? 40
10x.
million. We'll 10x it to 40 million.
That's perfect. And that's what that's one of the things I love about working within the Grant Cardone 10X community is no one is thinking small. How long have you been part of that community?
Almost 2 years now. I did the accelerator program. I finished it a year, October, and so I'm just starting my new accelerator program and the with the essentials.
Yeah, that's great. And so what I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be like, okay, wait a minute. She's a professional accounting person and she's listening and watching Grant Cardone. Hey. What was it that got your attention with Grant Cardone? Because when I first saw him on YouTube, I was like, this guy's crazy.
Well, Grant is amazing because he thinks big. And I think that's the first attracting, and he teaches people, and he's so genuine in his caring about helping people do better, think bigger. And there's something that's really genuinely attractive about his energy. I actually was part of a group. He came and spoke at a convention, and he was talking about his plane, and he was kind of like making fun of other, big shots in that business at the time who owned half a plane, but he had the whole plane. So, yeah. He's great. He's been an inspiration, and I've read his books, and now partnering with you and, everyone on the team. It's an amazingly attractive community and growth possibility. Like, what's possible now was not possible for me a year and a half ago.
And so let's talk about this, because you're a key contributor to a successful business, and you're at that place, are the business owners, where now you're all trying to figure out what's the next evolution of the business. How do we create a structure or a path for ownership or maybe a purchase? And so now you're at a place where, what in my experience is, can become a very uncomfortable conversation for everybody involved. How are you finding or navigating your way through these kind of conversations?
Well, I've been very fortunate because the owners are on board with me coming in and growing their business. And I think it's because they're a little bit of burnout. It's just, it's a grind. And like my boss in particular, 44 years in the tax business, that's a long time. And he's still going like every day. So I've been really encouraged to, let them know I've made a decision. I want to grow this business. And so they said, okay, hey, no one's ever come to us and said this before. So I have the green light. Like, they're on board with it. There's still more conversation to be had, for sure.
Which is why you're here, right?
Exactly.
You're trying to learn, how do I proactively structure those conversations? What should I be looking at? How does it technically get done? And so what are you learning? Like, you just sat through 2 days of finance essentials, where we break down all the elements of financials, compensation plans, earn-in structures. What's your big takeaway from this weekend?
Finance is so important in a business because you cannot measure your growth. You cannot incentivize your people without knowing the data. You have to track everything, and you have to have a plan and a strategy, and you need help. Like, there's no way I would, even as a CPA, there was no way I would be able to do all of this on my own. So I'm learning how important the finance is, and that there's so many options and so many key components that every single business owner needs to understand.
What would you say? I have a lot of business owners that say, "Oh, I'm good. I've got a good CPA." What would you say from your own personal experience the difference between having a good CPA and actually understanding and applying finance properly inside the business?
Well, the critical difference is accounting versus finance. And I think Jeff said it accurately, that accounting is the science and finance is the art. But I would say even more, accounting is sort of the history, the past, where finance is really the future. And so when you apply finance to the accounting, because you need the accounting, that's your base, then you can look forward, you can project ahead. So I have the accounting side. Like, I've seen a lot of businesses. We do 1,800 returns a year. Like, I'm looking at a lot of businesses. But that strategy and putting things in place for the future, that's the missing piece for a lot of people who have CPAs even advising them.
And based on your experience, if I was a business owner and I went to the average CPA and said, "Hey, I need you to help me put a strategy together to grow my business," what's the likelihood your average CPA understands how to do that?
Is not what we got today and yesterday. I can guarantee you that. You know, there's some like reasonable, how much do you expect to grow? Look at historical patterns and you could kind of project out. But there's not a lot of strategy in that. It's just, putting the numbers and putting them ahead. The strategy that I'm getting here today and yesterday is beyond comparison.
Yeah, because it's actually how to apply it in the business to mechanically and technically make the business work so the financials work.
Exactly. And I have an MBA also, so I have a master's in business administration. So this is so important. Like, it's worth every dollar that I've invested, and I would recommend it to any business owner that really wants to grow their business.
So just so I hear this right, because I'm a 2.4 GPA high schooler. You have an MBA.
Yes.
And you're a CPA.
Correct.
And you're saying that you're learning things here.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to hear it from you.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it because you know what? The thing I love about the 10X community, it's surrounded by so many smart people that don't let their, what I call their professor persona, the I know everything persona that keeps people from succeeding because they're not looking for what they don't know. And for you to say, hey, as an MBA and a CPA, I'm learning stuff I didn't even know, and I'm here to learn how to take my business and grow it from 4 million to 40 million. The last podcast I shot was with a buddy of mine, Michael, who's also a CPA, and he does outsourced CFO services. And so we were talking about the opportunity in the CPA world and in the accounting world to go to all the mid-tier accounting firms, tax and advisory. I don't know what all. Do you guys do outsourced CFO services?
We do not.
Yeah. And basically create a national network where we can take things like what you're learning, but be able to have you help local business owners. Like you said, you're running 1,800 tax returns a year. So imagine if you could introduce something to all those business owners where you could say, hey, we can show you how to do what you're doing, 10x the value of your business. As a community, how big we could get.
Oh, that would be amazing. I really feel like even applying a little bit of what we've received this weekend to business owners would contribute a lot to their business. I'm finding that like there's a value added service there to like start thinking in a different way and applying some of these principles. And then the ones that are really serious, like, we get them on board with the full program.
Yeah, you can not only do their accounting, their strategy, their taxes, but we could also introduce a bunch of programs that would allow them to grow and scale their business.
Imagine having a CPA that understands these strategies.
Wow, there's a concept, right? Because it's even hard for me to hire people to come in at a management company level and grasp how the magnitude of this. A guy like Jeff, he's been with me now 2 years, and he was running a $500 million portfolio of businesses, so very strategic and technically inclined. But when he sees what we're doing here, even himself, he's like, wow, I never really thought about how marketing, how people, how finance, how technology, how it all actually comes together to create a much bigger, faster experience for everybody involved. Have you been to the People Essentials yet?
No.
Yeah.
I'm going to the December 12th, the hire.
The Perfect Hire.
Perfect hire, yes.
So when you think about your business right now, 4 million growing to 40 million, what are some of the things you think I need to have these things in place based on your own personal experience?
It's the efficiencies in the process, people. That's our biggest expense. You have to have people to prepare the returns, to review the returns, interact with the clients. So the biggest thing is the efficiencies in the processes of the work, and also the interaction with the clients, having it be a great experience for clients. And also, I think now having employees have kind of an owner mentality, meaning like, how can we service this client better? What else can we do for them? What can we promise them? What can we guarantee? How can we fulfill our role better and giving more value? Like, that's a huge people component that if we can merge that with the efficiencies, it's brilliant.
Awesome. It actually inspires me because ultimately helping business owners is my passion. And the faster we can get in front of those business owners, create value for them, and get them to understand how to create value for their employees, the bigger the business gets. Because then the team is pulling the business to success versus most business owners wearing themselves out trying to push the business to success. And you see that a lot with your clients, I bet.
Oh, yeah. A lot of clients, they don't understand the numbers, the finance. It's not their forte. Obviously, they got into business to do whatever it is they're doing, not to do the bookkeeping or, be in charge of the finance. But having that professional as a support group, they need a network, and it's a critical piece. And they're so relieved when they get an understanding, or they feel like there's someone there to support them and explain something to them so they get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool to have that.
And that's why I love what we get to do, because we have smart people that are willing to take risks to come through here, and they're struggling, and all of a sudden it clicks and they go home and they absolutely crush it. And I just shot 8 podcasts this week, and everyone's businesses have doubled in a year.
Wow.
Think about how much elasticity there is in business.
Yeah, it's powerful.
And people like you love it. When you have a client comes in that goes from 4 million and they make 400 grand, and they come back at the end of the year and you're doing their quarterlies, and all of a sudden you're sitting there having their year-end meeting, and they're like, yeah, we did 8 million and we made, $1.2 million. It feels a lot better than people coming in and saying, I'm cutting overhead, I've got to shut things down.
Absolutely.
You've had a lot of clients struggle, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so when you listen to these business owners who are going the other direction, they're cutting costs, getting rid of people, stressed, in turmoil. When you're sitting there with them, what's it like? Just express to the listener in your job, because you're like the doctor watching the patient have cardiac arrest on the table.
It's heartbreaking, and I want to help them. And so how do you solve their problem? And, is it really COVID? Is it really, they can't find people to hire? Is it really XYZ, you name it? Or is it just like a mindset or a belief where if they had the right support, the right community, that they wouldn't buy into, oh, I have to shut my business down, or I'm not making money because of COVID? I see other businesses thriving during COVID. So then I have to offset it and ask myself, well, what is this person doing that's different than this person? Is it just the industry they're in, their mindset, or, but it is heartbreaking to see, when business, that contraction it's not what we're built for. As humans, we're built to expand and grow and, create.
100%. Well, I couldn't say it any better. I mean, you just that description right there of what, in order for us to, people would argue this when they're in that victim mode, but I believe any person I've ever met that's got a fulfilling life, it's because they are in expansion. I don't think I've ever met anybody that was thrilled, loved their life if they're in contraction.
Agreed.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you for joining me on the B. Dawson Show. I'm excited for this audience in 12 months from now. We'll do a catch up and find out all the things that have happened in as little as a year, because I have a feeling it's going to be some big stuff happening.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
And everybody, thank you for watching me on another episode and my guest on another episode of the B. Dawson Show. We're excited to continue to bring forward-thinking people to you to show you that scaling and creating massive value is only a decision away. Thanks for watching or listening to this episode of the B. Dawson Show.